Hello, right. Hello, hello, hello. Here we are again, back for another Advent of Code session. We did days 1 to 4 previously. Now we're going to tackle day 5. Probably just do the one day and see how we get on. So here goes. Let's read it up and see what's in stock for us today. Print queue. So we're searching through some safety manuals and we're trying to work out which ones are correct. We've got some rules, we've got some pages, and we're trying to work out which ones are in the right order. Start by identifying which updates are already in the right order. So for the puzzle input, 75, 47, 61, da, da, da. So this one is correct because, all right, okay, so we've got pairs of numbers and the inputs here, they have to match these rules. So we've got a bunch of rules, a bunch of inputs, and for each row in this input, we've got to match them against these rules to make sure that they comply. So what's the output though? They also need to know the middle page number. All right, so any line that matches all the rules, we then take the middle number and add it all together. Okay, cool. Let's try and give it a go. Give it a go. So let's create a new file here, and we've got our sample data as per usual, and then expected results. That was 143. Let's start with the sample, and then we'll do the actual data sets. So first things first, we need to parse this data into some sort of format. So parse takes in a string and it produces, I think for this let's make a class to contain what we're actually going to parse out. So we want, let's just call it data for now. So we're going to take in the input as a string, and what we want is so we want a list of, so we want some rules, and that's going to be a list of a pair of numbers. So let's just use tuple of int. I'm going to start it off as an empty array, empty list. And then we also want this set of data here, which is just a list of ints. And that's our data. List of ints. And that's going to be an empty array, and then we're going to have a function called parse to actually populate this data. Let's have another function. So it takes the inputs, and we're going to populate these rules. So firstly, how are we going to get this data? I guess we could regex it, or we could just find lines that have a pipe character, is probably simpler, and then split on the pipe. So lines equals input.split lines to get the lines by themselves, or L in line, I don't like L for line in lines. I don't love single character variables because it's kind of hard to read. So if that pipe character is in the line, then if that's in the, we could probably do this as a comprehension as well, but let's just carry on with this approach. The line got split on that pipe character, and then we're going to add a rule, which is append. Why is this not highlighting? rules plural. Dot append. I'm going to do tuple of entries 0, entries 1. This is kind of force of habit using this syntax in every Python file, but basically the purpose of it is that you don't want any execution happening until you hit this block, which means that you're running this one file. So if the current file name is this name here, then we know that we're inside of day05.py. But if we were in a different file and then we were importing this file for whatever reason, then it wouldn't run lines. Don't know if that makes sense. Oops. So we want data equal data, and we're going to give it the sample data. That's going to give us a data, and let's just print data.rules and make sure we parsed the first bit. We need to stringify parse them into integers as well, of course. Okay, so there's our rules. Now we want the other input. So let's say else. So if it doesn't have a pipe in it, else, let's just say if line as well, or elif line, as in it's not a blank line. Or I suppose we could do else if, no, let's just say elif line. So if the line isn't blank, then let's just assume that it's data. Append. And then we want to create a list. So we're just splitting this line on commas, and that should give us the list of numbers, but we want to actually parse them into integers as well, so let's do that. So now we should be able to print our data. There we go. Okay, so now we've parsed all our data, we want to have a function called, we want to kind of enumerate the correct records, correct reports, and that's going to give us, we want it to return a list of ints, the same as the data, but a whittled down version of this data. So let's return x for x in self.data if is correct. Let's create that function. That is correct. So we take in let's just call it report. Now is correct. So for every, how do we want to do this? For every number in the data, we need to search through the rules and make sure or maybe we do it for every rule. If both numbers in the rule matches the line, then we have to work out the ordering. So I guess we could, maybe we could convert the list into a dictionary temporarily, just to quickly do lookups. So let's have a lookup, let's have it as a dictionary for index and number in report. Enumerate that to get the index. that's going to return the index and the number, and then let's have a structure like that. So therefore, when we go through the rules, we can just use the lookup to quickly see does this set contain that, and if it does, what's the index. So now we need to go through the rules for rule in self.rules. So that will give us our rule 1, rule 2. Will give us our 2 integers. So if lookup.contains, or no, it's rule 1 in lookup and rule 2 in lookup, then we know that both numbers are in the input data. Now we just need the index of the first one, is number, the index of the second one. Seems is it a bit inefficient to do this lookup twice, because this is doing the lookup and then this is doing a lookup again. So let's just cache this off, so we can also do lookup.get, and then it returns any or none. So if it returns none, then we know it's not in there. Else it will return the index, I presume. Here we go. So if index 1 and index 2, don't know if I like that. Let's make the default -1, so otherwise we won't know whether it's valid or not. So find both rules in the lookup, and then get the indices, and then we just need to assert whether index 2 is greater than index 1. So if index 1 is less than index 2, then return false. Otherwise, once we make it through all the rules and we didn't hit that return false, then it must be correct. Alright, so let's print out the correct report, see what we get. An empty array. It doesn't seem correct. We didn't return it though, did we? Oh no, we did. Correct reports returns the entire thing. So that didn't work. So one more time, create an empty dictionary, then for each line in the report, add an entry into the dictionary with the number, and the value is the index. Then for every rule, grab the 2 numbers, and for each number, get that out of the lookup to get the index into the initial report for both. If both indices are greater than or equal to 0, then, oh wait, we don't really need this now, do we? So if they're both greater than 0, and if the first index is less than the second index, wait, if the first one is greater than the second one, then it's not correct. How about that? Okay, so now we get 1, 2, 3 different sets of numbers. And now for the correct, let's just call this correct report checksum. And that's just going to return us the integer. So let's just call the other function reports equals self.correctReports, and then sum equals 0 for our in reports. Now we want the middle value. Are we going to assume that we only get odd length? Let's just assert it, and if it fails, then we'll worry about what we do if it isn't the correct isn't correct. Let's just assert that it's odd, and if it is odd, then we want the middle value. So len of r divided by 2, middle index. What's that going to give us? If we do 3 divided by 2, it's going to give us 1.5. So we want to floor it. How do we floor? We just do an int and return. No, sum equals sum plus r middle index and then sum. Okay, so let's finally run that one. And we're hoping for 143. Is that what we actually wanted? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so now let's try that with the actual inputs. And let's see what we get. So we need our util function. Let's just call this run sample. And the actual run. We want to print the correct reports. Okay, what do we get? Invalid literal for int with base mul. Oh wait, need a different number here. Day 4, no, day 5. We want to report, we want to do the checksum. There we go, 6,498. What do we think? That's right, woohoo. Okay, part 2. While the elves get to work printing the correctly ordered updates, you have a little time to fix the rest of them. For each incorrectly ordered update, use the page ordering rules to put the page numbers in the right order. Ooh, okay. For the above example, here are 3 incorrectly ordered updates and their correct orderings. After taking only the incorrect ordered updates and ordering them correctly, so we're doing the same algorithm with the ones that weren't correct, and we have to shuffle them around to make them correct. So let's have another function which is incorrect reports. Do it like that. So now we can get a list of all the incorrect ones. And now we need a function which is fix report, let's call it fix report. So it takes our input and returns a new input based on the rules. This feels like it's going to be a brute force approach. So we want to go through the rules, and I guess we want to swap elements around until it's correct, basically. Feels like a bit of a brute force. Well, maybe we should time this because it feels like it's going to be quite a slow routine, but let's try it anyway. So fixed report, take a copy of the original report, and for rule in rules, we want the same code. Oh wait, we need to do this lookup thing as well. So here, our lookup, we're going to have to keep correcting the lookup as we swap elements around. So whenever it fails this test, we need to swap them around. Let's just try it. So how do we swap numbers in a list? Let's also use the fixed report rather than the report. Fixed report. 10 people. We'll put it into a temporary variable first, and fixed report into a temporary variable. Then we can overwrite this one with the new one, and then that temporary variable back. And then we also need to fix up our lookup. So now swap the indices around, overwrite the indices in the lookup, and we just need to keep doing this while is correct is false. It feels like it might just be an infinite loop if this doesn't work. So I hope we can break out of this. So while not is correct with this fixed report. Ooh, I don't love this. I guess we could also cache off the rules that match rather than keep finding them from the entire rule set. That might be a bit more efficient if this is taking a long time. Yeah, let's just cache these off matching rules. Rule for rule in self rules if lookup contain or if let's do that instead, and then at least we're not matching against all of the rules every single iteration. And then once this is done, if it ever gets done, then we can finally return the fixed report. Okay, so do run part 2. So we need to find the incorrect reports and then fix them. X for X in that and data.fixReport X. Oh, we need to actually run it as well. We did actually escape, so that's good. Couldn't just do an infinite loop. Okay, cool. So really, this should take in the list of reports to run this on. Let's just factorize it out to a new method called reports checksum. And then take it in as a variable. And this guy can just call this guy. And then we can run it down here. We get our list of fixed reports, and then beta dot reports checksum on the fixed reports, and we're going to print that. 5017. Correct. Woohoo. Okay. There we go. Pretty straightforward, that one. I think I'll leave it there to make this a nice short one this time. So there we go. I'll come back and do the next day another day. I'm quite surprised how quickly, I've noticed there's this leaderboard showing like how quickly other people are doing this. I'm not sure what this number is. Is this like the time? Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Highest total score. Oh, it doesn't really tell us the time they took, which would be interesting to know how quick people are doing it, but yeah, in any case, there we go. Until next time.